Hey guys, in this month's Historical Fiction 101, I'm going to be talking about Season 2 of Knightfall. So, before I head into my Season 2 thoughts and opinions of Knightfall, this video will have spoilers. So if you've not watched Knightfall, if you've not watched Season 1, if you've not watched Season 2, you might want to go away. So yeah, all spoilers that I'm going to be talking about for Season 2 of Knightfall. Yeah guys, let's get going with this. I'm anxious to get into it. I loved Season 2. I previously did another Historical Fiction 101 video for Season 1, and my feelings about Season 1, if I'm recalling my opinions on that from that video, I remember saying that I did really enjoy Season 1, but it was kind of like a slow burn. You know, you really had to get past the first half of the season in some ways, and then yeah, the second half was like really good. But yeah, I think there was some pacing problems, some character problems, but I still enjoyed Season 1. Season 2, you guys, seriously, wow, what an improvement between seasons. Not only was it an improved second season overall, but just sitting here looking at some of my notes, just everything about the season was tighter, it was more focused with the plot, and yeah, just much more stronger and more interesting characters, because I felt like with Season 1, the characters especially, even though I think they were interesting in their own ways, it's like they weren't given much to kind of to branch out. They weren't given too much depth, I don't feel like, especially Landry's character, you guys. So yeah, let's get into the characters individually. Like I said, just a much more improved Season 2, just overall with everything, I think. Just more attention to detail and things, I guess. But yeah, let's talk about Landry. Because like I said, Landry, he was kind of, even though I liked Landry, he was a good-looking dude, played by, played wonderfully by Tom Cullen. I just felt like Tom Cullen, he kind of did the best with what he was given. But yeah, I think he was much more improved here with Season 2. But yeah, Landry, what I particularly enjoyed about Landry this season, because yeah, if you recall, Season 1 ended, and King Philip killed Queen Joan right there in front of Landry's eyes. Instead of killing Landry, he kills Joan. So yeah, Season 1, the big shocker was Joan's death, and yes, she was pregnant, and yet Landry has to, he physically cuts open the woman that he loves in order to get their unborn child out. So yeah, the baby lives, by the way. I liked, before I continue with Landry, I had my concerns about baby Eve. They call her Eve this season. I had my concerns about baby Eve going into this season, because I was like, oh boy, did the show make a boo-boo kind of pinning Landry down with a baby? I was like, oh, I bet they made a boo-boo, and I bet they do everything they can to get rid of this child. So yeah, sure enough, episode 1, we see Landry and Tancred, that they're going to like a convent, and they're giving baby Eve to some nuns. The thing is though, I thought that was going to be the last we saw of the baby. I seriously thought that was going to be the last we saw of that baby, and that Landry would probably never see his child again, and that would kind of be, the horrible thing with his character going forward. So yeah, I thought we would never see the child again. I thought we would never really hear about the child again. Because yeah, like I said, I was thinking, oh, I bet the show is now regretting that they introduced a child into the equation. But no, baby Eve is actually still a pretty pivotal character throughout the season, in interesting ways. And yeah, especially with Prince Louis's character, and yeah, King Philip and all of his mania and whatnot. So yeah, baby Eve, I'm glad they still incorporated her into the show somehow, instead of maybe dismissing her, because yeah, a lot of times with shows, sometimes they'll introduce a baby, and then it's kind of like, should we have thrown a baby into the mix? We're regretting it now. And yes, sometimes the baby will either get kidnapped or killed or something like that. So yeah, thank God baby Eve lives. But yeah, focusing on Landry, what I particularly enjoyed about Landry's character arc this season was definitely his sense of guilt and his wish for atonement. And yeah, kind of his conflict. I mean, could he ever atone for his sins? So Landry, he goes back to the Knights Templar, you know, trying to win his way back in there. And yeah, the only way he can get a spot back as a Templar is that he can no longer be a full-on brother now. He has to go right on back to square one and start as an initiate and prove himself again. And not only just to prove himself again and to kind of redeem himself, because yeah, the Knights Templar, they're not supposed to take wives or have children or anything. And yet Landry slept with the king's wife. He produced a child. So yeah, Landry did a lot of bad things, a lot of no-nos. And how the Templars see it. So yeah, Landry, it's not only just he has to atone for what he did as a brother of the Templars. He has to kind of face his inner demons and whatnot, and make amends with what he did, that he can't turn back the clock and redo things, you know. And yet the best way to atone is for him to start as an initiate and prove himself and reforge new bonds and yeah, relearn to become a leader and whatnot. The only bad thing, you know, this season was just 8 episodes, so Landry does his re-initiation. It is rather rapid. I think by the time we get halfway through the season, yeah, he gets his Templar Knights, his robes back. But I loved him in the first half especially, you know, seeking forgiveness and redemption and really coming to terms with things he has done. And yeah, if there ever is really true forgiveness for himself, you know. And so I loved all that first half of the stuff of the season, and yeah, him reforging new bonds with other initiates, and a new character we got this season, Master Talus, played by Mark Hamill. You guys, yeah, this season of Knightfall, when they were promoting it, if you guys happen to see all the promotional material for this season, they were playing up Mark Hamill big time. I think definitely for a ratings boost, because I don't know how well season 1 did. I have a feeling it didn't do very well. But yeah, they still got renewed, and I think for them it's like, we need to really introduce somebody into this cast. Yeah, who better than Mark Hamill from Star Wars fame, you guys? And yeah, Mark Hamill is essentially almost Luke Skywalker in Knightfall, but yeah, but a much more grumpy, curmudgeonly Luke Skywalker, I suppose. But yeah, Master Talus was a badass, you know, considering he's older. But the thing is, that's just it. He's a master. He's training these initiates, and yeah, he's had years and years and years and years of life experience being a Templar, a Knights Templar. So yeah, I loved him training Landry, and yeah, even though him and Landry at first, there was this rivalry, and yeah, it was like, is Master Talus ever gonna like Landry? But they do, kind of predictably, you know, obviously, they do get closer, you know, by the halfway point of the season, and there's that mutual respect and admiration from Landry and Master Talus. So yeah, I love the addition of Mark Hamill this season, you guys. He worked perfectly, and yeah, I was worried he would be distracting, like the whole time. I was worried the whole time I'd be like, it's Luke Skywalker, it's Luke Skywalker. But fortunately that didn't happen, because his role in this, he doesn't look anything like himself. He doesn't look like Luke Skywalker. You know, they have him in these crazy different clothes, the hair and the makeup is different. So I think they do a good job there, you know, being kind of cognizant of the fact we need to really make Mark Hamill look different from how he typically looks in Star Wars. And then yeah, talking about Tancred, not that much of a Tancred this season compared to like maybe season 1, I feel like, because I think season 1 was more his season with that arc he was taking. But yeah, I still continue to love Tancred this season. I loved his romance with the hot nun, as I'll call her. I love that whole thing. And you guys, the cliffhanger with Tancred. Let's just jump to that. Is Tancred dead? I don't know if we're led to believe he's dead. I think the hot nun lady, I think she's dead. It looked like she downright died when King Philip's men were sitting there shooting all the arrows and whatnot. I think she downright died. But yeah, Tancred, he got shot as well, but I couldn't tell if he just collapsed from pain and exhaustion and maybe a little bit of blood loss, or yeah, if he died in that moment. Because yeah, the last shot we see is the hot nun in his arms, and he's leaning over her, and he kind of collapses on top of her. So yeah, I don't know if Tancred is dead, you guys. I will not be shocked or surprised if he reappears in the next season. Because yeah, Landry and company, they were all getting on that boat to leave wherever they're going to. So yeah, Tancred was left behind. So I guess we'll see if Tancred comes back. And this, yes, let's talk about Gawain, you guys. I loved Gawain this season. Like, he went full villain in some ways, you know, because last season, Gawain, you know, he was definitely just kind of all over the place, like, is he a good guy, is he a bad guy? He ends up being a Judas, pretty much, at the end of the day. But yeah, Gawain, he starts this season as a bad guy. He's kind of seeking revenge in some ways. You know, how the Templars treated him, how he's just been treated his whole life. His injury, you know, he lets his injury, because he has that knee injury that he got last season, he lets his knee injury really just consume him and take him over. And yeah, a lot of his arc is all about, it is all kind of about his injury and how Landry treated him and I guess betrayed him to some degree, you know. Gawain's headspace is just all over the place. But yeah, Gawain this season he starts off as a villain, but he's a very complex villain, and he doesn't stay a villain, because yeah, by the time you get to those last, I think, 2 or 3 episodes especially, you see Gawain kind of start to turn and start to reconsider things, and I love that with his arc this season. And I really just loved him working with other characters, because, you know, all last season he was pretty much mostly with, like, the Templars and Landry and Tancred, and yeah, Denogre every now and then, but yeah, this season he's primarily with Denogre and King Philip and that whole set of people, Prince Louis. So yeah, great arc for Gawain. And yeah, speaking of King Philip, you guys, ooh, you know, I said this in my review last year. I loved King Philip, and I was actually really upset when they turned him into a villain, when he just stabbed his wife right there in front of Landry. I was like, oh no, I can't believe he just did that. And yeah, that was just a total turnoff for me from King Philip. So I had some very complicated feelings for King Philip last year, because for the most part, the whole season he was a good guy, and then all of a sudden, yeah, he finds out about the betrayal, and I mean, yeah, he's right to feel betrayed, but it doesn't mean he has to kill his wife over it. And so yeah, this season, King Philip is a bad guy. He is a villain. And yeah, his whole arc this season, it's all about seeking revenge and vengeance against Landry, the things Landry did. And you know, the thing is, it's really Landry who's the cause of his inner pain and whatnot, but he puts all of his hate and drama on the whole of the Knights Templar, and he wants all of the Knights Templar gone, not just Landry. It's like, that's kind of his punishment, like, yeah, Landry did this to me, but guess what? I'm gonna take it out on everybody else as further punishment to him. So, I really enjoyed King Philip this season. You know, even though I had some complex feelings for him last season, this season I did really enjoy that he was just a straight out bad guy, and I really liked that. Plus, you guys, a much more improved character look overall. Last season they had him with no facial hair, and the hair was longer, and I just thought the whole thing was rather goofy and didn't make him very attractive. This season though, goddamn, King Philip was hot, and I'm not ashamed to say that. I do love me a good villain, you guys. So yeah, King Philip, I love the new look, the new attitude, and yeah, just his non-stop seeking of revenge, you know, and vengeance and whatnot. Just, he was unrelenting about everything. And yeah, King Philip is dead, you guys. I don't think that's very historically accurate. You know, even though this channel's on the History Channel, it doesn't mean things have to be historically accurate. Because, yeah, I mean, even last season, him killing Joan, the real King Philip didn't kill Joan, I don't think. And, yeah, the manner in which King Philip died this season, yeah, because Landry's a fictional character, yeah, nobody in the Knights Templar killed King Philip. King Philip, the historical King Philip, died, I think from some sort of either disease or infection or something. I can't quite remember what I looked up, what it said, but he died from like sickness and illness, I want to say. So yeah, this is definitely a much more fantastical look at King Philip and creating a much more crazy death for him, other than him just dying from illness or sickness. Let's move on to Denogre. Last season, Denogre was definitely the highlight of the season. He was easily my favorite character. Yet him always at the side of the king, whispering words of advice. And yet this season, Denogre has some challenges. Things do not come easily to him this season, that's for sure. You know, because last season he was constantly plotting and scheming, and yeah, he was the mastermind behind a lot of the big plot points going on. So yeah, this season he definitely faces some challenges because of just how events did play out last season. Yeah, he doesn't have the full ear of the king, and then to make matters worse, here comes Prince Louis into the equation. Denogre definitely has no love for Prince Louis here, especially at the start of the season. That totally shifts by the end of the season. But yeah, when Louis first arrives, yeah, Denogre, he's there trying to whisper words of advice into King Philip's ear, but then Louis is like, oh, shut up. And yeah, Denogre, you know, he's not noble born, but he still is a man of station, and he rose from the ground up, essentially. And yeah, I think Denogre, this whole season, he hated and despised whenever Louis would give him orders, you know, kind of treating him like scum or treating him like a servant, because yeah, that's not Denogre's role in the court at all. So I love that conflict with Denogre and Louis and Philip, you know, kind of that triangle of guys kind of just all constantly at each other's throats and trying to vie for power and ambition, pretty much. And yeah, the best part about Denogre's character this whole damn season, you guys, I loved, what was it? Was it episode 3? I think it was episode 3 this season, and we got that terrific backstory for Denogre about his beginnings, the death of his parents, and that, yeah, the Pope was behind all of that. And yeah, Denogre gets his revenge on the Pope by the end of that episode and kills the Pope. Slits his throat, everything. Oh, no, he didn't slit his throat, did he? He strangled him, right? What did he do? I can't remember what he did. Did he slit his throat or strangle him? I can't quite remember, you guys. It was one of those two things. Something involving something. But yeah, easily, seriously guys, easily. That was great. I loved it. Just the best plot point I love this season with Denogre's backstory and that reveal with the Pope. It was epic. I loved it. And yeah, Gawain was a part of that whole thing too, because Gawain was there to help him out. Oh, genius. I loved it. But yeah, with the death of that Pope, we do get another Pope who, oh god, I hated that guy just as much. I hated him. So yeah, let's talk about Isabella. A new actress this season for Isabella. Last season she was played by Sabrina Bartlett. This season played by Genevieve Gaunt, I believe is the actress's name. And I'm not sure how I feel about the casting change for Isabella, because I did really like Sabrina Bartlett in the role. But yeah, last season Isabella was presented as kind of naive at times, a very kind of innocent to some degree, but yeah, I mean, she was kind of, you know, she would sneak behind her parents' back and, you know, go off and sleep with somebody. But yeah, what I especially loved with Isabella last season was definitely that relationship with Denogre, more specifically, because Denogre was kind of turning her into a little mini version of him. And yeah, there was this weird sexual chemistry and attraction going on there between them, which was kind of weird but kind of hot at the same time, and I loved it. So yeah, this season we get a new Isabella played by Genevieve Gaunt, like I said, and I've seen Genevieve Gaunt in another show, and I liked her in that show. But yeah, the new Isabella, we have an entirely different Isabella this season, just totally not the same girl from that other season at all. Isabella this season she's rather haughty at times, she's very opinionated, she's very, very ambitious and power hungry, and I was upset that we didn't get a single goddamn scene with her and Denogre. You know, because I feel like she learned from him to some extent, but that is never brought up. It's never mentioned. They never have a scene together at all. They may be in the same room, but they never have a single conversation with each other, which was kind of upsetting. So yeah, Isabella, she is a bit villainous this season. She does a couple despicable things, all in the name of her ambition and trying to get power, and yet a lot of it has to do with her brother's new wife coming in, Margaret. Yeah, let's talk about Margaret here. Margaret is, the way she's presented in this show, she's everything Isabella is not. Especially this new Isabella. Margaret is very pure and innocent, full of light and hope and joy, and I think that just irritates Isabella so much. And not only that, because yeah, Margaret is here to marry, or I know she is married. She's married to Isabella's brother, Prince Louis. And yeah, Margaret kind of says a few things in passing, like, oh, Isabella, you're still part of this family, you can come visit us and this and that. And the thing is, Isabella does not like that one bit, because Isabella, you know, since the death of her mother specifically, I suppose, you know, Isabella, you know, France is still her home. She doesn't want to give her home up to this new foreign girl that she doesn't know who she is. And yeah, Margaret is becoming Queen of France essentially, and I think the way we're supposed to see Isabella this season is that she really wanted to be Queen of France. You know, yeah, I'm almost surprised she didn't kill Louis at some point. Try to kill Louis so she can usurp his place and become Queen of France. But yeah, it's kind of the vibe you get from Isabella this whole season, is that she doesn't want to be, you know, brought down a peg. You know, she doesn't want Margaret to rise above her by being queen, you know. But yeah, I mean, good news for Isabella. Well, I guess bad news, because she didn't want to go away, because she's moving to England, I believe, and that's the thing. She didn't want to marry to some guy she don't even know, you know, but still, she's going to be Queen of England at least. So they brought up a few little teases there of Isabella when she does become queen, because the things that I know about Isabella is that she's often kind of called the she-wolf. So yeah, that's kind of teased and brought up here by the season finale with her, and that she's going to be a pretty awesome queen, a badass queen over in England. Yeah, who does she marry? King Edward the Third, I want to say? I can't remember if she marries Edward the Second or Third. It's one of those guys. So yeah, I guess if the show continues, I guess we're not going to see Isabella anymore. I guess that's it, unless our group of heroes go to England, possibly, and that's how she shows up. But yeah, poor Margaret. Poor Margaret by the end of the season, you guys. That was horrible. She just had to suffer. She suffered because of Isabella's ambitions and jealousy, essentially. Seriously, I felt so bad for Margaret this season. But yeah, let's get into Prince Louis. I loved the addition of Prince Louis this season. Yeah, Louis, he's a very complex, flawed character as well, because there's elements of him that you really like as a character, because I liked his loyalty to his mother, Queen Joan, because Philip is constantly kind of saying things and referring to her as a whore and a bad woman and a bad wife, and yeah, Louis is constantly on his father's ass, sitting there saying, you know, don't speak about my mother that way. She was a good mother to me, a good wife to you, and yeah, she was human, she made mistakes, and yeah, he's constantly on Joan's side this season. Now, even though Joan is dead this season, Joan is still actually a pretty pivotal character in some ways, and what she means to Philip and Landry and Louis and Isabella. So I liked Louis' just total loyalty there to his mother, you know? And yeah, kind of accepts her flaws and all. And yeah, oh, yeah, those dramatic scenes with him and Philip near the end, oh my god. And yeah, to add more complexity to Louis, because yeah, Philip's whole thing about, oh, we need to get rid of all of the babies out there because your mother had a child and we gotta figure out which one it is so we can kill it because that child could come and take your place as king or something. So yeah, Louis, the complexity's there that he goes and kills some families and kills some babies, and yeah, baby Eve is his half-sister. You know, he's about to kill his own half-sister, and yeah, the complexity's there and the nuances, and yeah, when Landry finally tells him the truth that, hey, I'm not the one who killed your mother, because yeah, Philip is sitting there trying to smear Landry's name and put all the blame on Landry, you know, really rile up Louis's anger, like Landry is to blame for all this. But yeah, once he finally gets through to Louis and explains, hey, your father has been lying to you, your father is the one who killed your mother. Ooh, oh boy, do things get hot and crazy, and it was great. So yeah, looking at my notes here some more. The season overall, I'm done with the character stuff now. The season overall, the first little bit is Landry's reinitiation, him trying to get back into the good graces of the Knights Templar and getting that atonement and forgiveness. And then yeah, the second half of the season, it is mostly all about the death, if you will, the death of the Knights Templar, the historical event that led to the end of the Knights Templar. Yeah, that being on Friday the 13th of 1312. So yeah, this whole season, once you get past that first half, the second half is all that build up to the Friday the 13th day, the end of the Knights Templar. And yeah, I love that build up. It's like, you know it's coming all season, you know it's coming, but there's that part of you, it's like, oh, I hope this doesn't happen. So yeah, really great build up to Friday the 13th, great action and intensity. Yeah, some really magnificent set pieces and some battles with King Philip's men and the Templars and whatnot. Really great stuff. And talk about the penultimate episode, you guys. What would that be? Episode 7? 7 out of 8. Episode 7. Oh my god. I thought they had killed off all of our leading characters, pretty much. You know, all the guys in the Knights Templar. I thought Landry might be dead, and Tancred, and Gawain. I thought all those guys might be dead, because, yeah, here comes Friday the 13th, and King Philip is setting up the pyres for them all to be burned at the stake, essentially, for their crimes. And yeah, they're crimes that aren't even real crimes. They're imagined crimes that King Philip just kind of, him and Denogre and Gawain, when he's on the side of evil, yeah, they're concocting to make the Knights Templar look bad and everything. So yeah, that 7th episode, oh my god, really intense and brutal. I think episode 7 was easily the best episode of this season. Out of an already very strong season, episode 7 was amazing. And yeah, I thought everybody was dead, but lo and behold, here comes episode 8. Here comes Mark Hamill again, Master Talus. He comes and saves the day, looking like a badass. Thank God, I loved him. So yeah, all of our leading hot men, they're saved. Thank goodness. So where do we go at the end of this season? Is History Channel going to pick it up for a 3rd season? I hope so. But if they do, where does a 3rd season go? I'm not very knowledgeable on the Knights Templar, you guys. I'm not very knowledgeable on it, so I'm not sure where things kind of go. I know that everybody kind of scatters across Europe, I want to say. So, I mean, that's what we could be getting. We may be getting events that no longer take place in France. They could be moving to other locations across Europe. So that would be kind of exciting, I think, you know, moving locale and getting introduced to brand new characters and brand new places, and maybe other Templars from other places. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the season, yeah, let's see, Philip is dead, Louis is king now, especially after Denogre just totally turns on Philip, and he says to Philip, what does he say? The king is dead, long live the king, and he just says that to Philip and kind of looks at Louis and walks away. I love that. So yeah, Philip dead, Louis king, Isabella has departed off to be Queen of England. So, I mean, yeah, what does that leave for Landry and his group of friends and whatnot? I think it's very exciting and kind of fun to speculate what could happen. But yeah, I hope we get a third season. I really would like one. So you guys, that is it for my season 2 review of Knightfall. In the comments below, did you guys watch this season of Knightfall, and what did you think? Did you think it was a vastly improved second season like I did, or did you not like certain things about it? Just let me know your thoughts down below. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos.